So first, can you two introduce yourselves?
This is Renee. David.
David Hyde. The famous David.
Oh, look out.
Okay, so you started your first band when you were 8 years old. I saw in your biography.
Maybe a little younger.
Oh wow, even younger than you.
Yeah, my first band that was probably playing gigs at 8 years old. I've been playing all my life. I mean, I have actually been. My daddy was a musician, and I don't know when I began. I was reading music, legit music, before I was playing. Before I read words.
Yeah.
So, and my mother was a concert pianist. My dad was a bass player. So I had it.
Wow. You had it in your
There's
blood.
no beginning. There's an end.
Right
There's
from
an
birth.
end, but no beginning.
Came out playing bass.
Yeah.
And what about you? When did you start playing music?
I don't play. I'm just a singer-songwriter.
Well, when did you start singing?
When did I start singing? Only a couple of years ago, but I was raised in a family. My grandparents were folk musicians.
Okay.
I just never got the bug until later in life. When I met David, he brought it out. You know, it's like he made me realize, oh my gosh, I've done that, and I want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
Well, how did you two start working together?
Well, let me tell you, Renee. I'd known Renee a long time before this, and I never really, I knew she liked music a lot. And all of a sudden, she kept going, "Won't you hear my songs? Won't you hear my songs?" And I'm kind of like, well, I don't really listen to people's songs unless, I never really, because she's not playing professionally.
Right.
I never really just thought, well, because everybody can write a song. Anybody can throw words on a napkin. And most of the people I do encounter have something like that. Then all of a sudden, one day, she said, "Listen to my song." And I listened to it, and I went, "Damn, that's pretty good." And I said, "We can do something with it. We can develop it." So we basically, for the last year and almost a year and a half, we've been working on this album, which is really, really different because it's total Americana. It's every style of music you could possibly imagine. And she being never really singing professionally was interesting because we could have got professional singers. So we just said, well, you go ahead and do it. Because she's got people on here, I mean, she's got some of the biggest recording session players in the world on her album. Matter of fact, I just did a movie with a guy named Jerry McGee. We were just shown a week and a half ago in Lafayette called, Sushi the Sauce Pecan. Jerry is probably one of the most recorded musicians in the world. He's done albums with Chris Christopherson, oh gosh, Delaney and Bonnie, John Mayall. He played on all the Monkees hits. He played Nancy Sinatra, Boots Are Made for Walking. He was part of what's called the Hal Blaine Wrecking Crew, which there's a movie out right now about this particular great studio band. They did everybody's album, everybody's recording back in LA in the late 60s, in the middle to late 60s. I mean, they were it. Well, they've done a movie about that. It was Joe Osborne, Jerry McGee, Tommy Tedesco, Carol Kay. He was kind of the greatest guitar player. I mean, the guy hung out with George Harrison. The movie was unbelievable. It was just mind-boggling that who this guy played with is on her album on 2 songs.
I went with David to a session, Bobby Charles' last recording session.
Oh, wow.
And when I saw Bobby didn't play an instrument or anything. He just, he had the songs in his head, he sang them, and the guys put it all together. And I said, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And so, as he was a great influence, and I wrote a song about Bobby Charles on the CD too.
And this is your first CD that you're recording?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very cool.
And I knew if there was anybody that could help bring out what I had in my head, it would be David.
She's a person that reaches a phase in life and has this idea that she wants to be a songwriter. She's gone all through life singing in a what we call singing riding in the car, singing in the shower, making raise her family, and decides late in life she wants to do something, and she did it on a monumental scale. She did something that, I mean, there's names on here that cannot be in the music world. Dr. John, Jerry Jamont, Marty Balin, Marcia Ball. You can't get these kind of people. These are like the top in the business. I mean, the biggest in the. Who's some of the other? Of course, the country guys I was telling you about. These are like session players of the highest degree, and are still active. Augie Myers played on Tom Waits' last album, Texas Tornadoes. They're all legends. We have 4 members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on our album.
Wow. That's impressive.
So I hope it does good.
Not bad for a first album.
Yeah.
Let's see. You performed at Bill Clinton's presidential inauguration.
I was with Delbert McClinton. Was playing with Delbert McClinton at the time, touring with him as his bass player. And Delbert had a good year that year. He just won a Grammy with Bonnie Raitt, and he was stepping up to that next level of basically Americana. He was had a song called "Every Time I Roll a Dice," and I think the Clinton people really liked it a lot. And he had a bunch of horn players, and of course Bill Clinton was a horn player, so we kind of just had that thing going on.
That's awesome. Well, how would you describe that experience, and how was it for you personally and for your career?
It was different. It was interesting to I have to say one thing. It was kind of surrealistic. That year of my life, to be with a guy that had just gotten a Grammy, to be riding that mechanism was you never. I mean, we also toured with Leonard Skinner. We did the Leonard Skinner '93 tour. We did Melissa Etheridge. We did the Tonight Show. We did Austin City Limits. I mean, that was a year of my life that the people I met and the things I did, it just doesn't seem real. And from a kid that grew up in Hammond, I mean, it's almost like people don't believe me when I tell them that. So I don't even say it anymore. I don't even talk about that. It's like, but in my life, I got to slap myself to even realize that even happened.
I would imagine I would have the same thing going
It was
on.
intense.
Well, you've also played. How many years have you played at Jazz Fest in New Orleans?
I guess pretty much every year I play there with somebody, but always with somebody different.
And you usually play like as a bassist for one of the acts that comes in, right?
I'm a mercenary. I'm a hired gun.
Okay.
I'm a guy. I don't really play in bands. People call me to come in and do different shows. That's kind of how I've been working. That's why I'm really not in a band per se. And so I guess and most of the bands that play at Jazz Festival, because of Louisiana being very unique, you're basically hired to play Jazz Fest because of the unique quality of Louisiana players' music. This is a state where everybody plays with everybody. It's like really like gumbo. And you're just maybe a shrimp, or you might be a piece of andouille in somebody else's gumbo. That's how it is here. And that's one of the unique things about Louisiana, I can say. This is a place that, I mean, if you're lucky enough to play in a band, you're very fortunate. If you're a sideman, if you're a hired gun, you're in the fray.
What would you say has been your most memorable live performance and why?
The highlight of my career was playing in my hometown with the greatest rock and roll artists in the world. And to be able to play that for my hometown people, for my daughter, I mean, I don't think it's been even playing the presidential inauguration or playing the biggest jazz festival in the world. I mean, nothing is comparable to that. Maybe the Tonight Show, maybe that was a high point. I could say that probably is set with Delbert McClinton. That's probably something that a little guy from Hammond really doesn't. It's kind of like something that's out in space to be.
Back to both of you. So the album that you've been telling me about that you're recording, is that your album? Is that y'all are working on it together, or do you have a separate album that you're working on?
I'm producing. I'm a record producer also.
Okay.
And I'm producing her album. She wrote all the songs. I did pretty much the arrangements, the horns, the strings, and stuff like that.
And he plays on it.
I play bass on it. But some I didn't play bass on. I had a chance to play with my all-time idol, Jerry Jamont, he played with Aretha Franklin. He was one of the greatest bass players in the world. I had a chance to say, okay, Jerry, it's like my big brother. I get a chance for you to play on an album I'm working with. I mean, I simply idolize this guy. I mean, he was one of the top 10 bass players of all time. And how cool it is to be able to play bass while somebody else is playing bass. You're actually playing their bass with them playing it. I know it's kind of abstract, but I'm producing and I get a chance to edit what he's playing. So I get a chance to come in and play my idol's bass lines. And Leon Medica, who's with Louisiana Rouge. He's another one. I used to be, when I was a little kid, I used to sit on the stage and watch him play. I mean, he was always one of my all-time idols. I asked him to play on this album, to play bass on. We have actually 3 songs on our album where there's other bass players beside myself playing.
What advice would you have for any aspiring musicians?
Well, mine is learn how to read, learn the Nashville number system, learn about music, do your homework. You got to be totally dedicated. I mean, you got to put this in front of everything in this world. It's got to be your girlfriend. It's got to be your mama. It's got to be your daddy. It's got to be your brother, your sister. I mean, this is something that it requires absolute dedication. You got to have the resilience of King Kong and the dedication of a Buddhist monk. I mean, it's serious. And considering that Louisiana is in this phase, you've got a lot to overcome by living in Louisiana. It's great because you have so many different types of music that you can absorb here. But by a young kid growing up like I did in a small town, I had a chance to play in black clubs on one night. The next night I go play in real, just hardcore country western, which I hate to say the word redneck, but they were. And I mean, so I had a chance to hear jazz. It was a chance to hear all kinds of music, which I worry about younger people having that. There's so many different polarizations of the music industry down here. Kids you have to search it out. And I would say listen to jazz, listen to classic.
And I say find a producer who knows about all that stuff to help you with your CD.
Good advice, because that'd be more along my road. Find someone who knows more about it. Well, thank y'all so much. That was my final question.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.